Bering Optics Super Yoter. Let's check it out. Guys, when it comes to optics, there are so many different choices out there. You've got your red dot, this 1X, all the way out to a really high magnified scope. You've got first and second focal plane, you've got different styles, fixed variables, you've got illuminated reticles, you've got long eye relief, you name it, it's out there. But one thing that's a deficiency with most of your optics is being able to see at night. It does help and it does gather low light, but having a night vision scope really changes the game. And we've really seen some really high quality night vision optics out there. But when it comes to thermal, that's when you can pick up heat signatures. You can't hide from thermal. And that's one of the beauties of, especially if you're on the hunt or your security, I mean, being able to see at night and being able to pick up that heat signature is invaluable. And so today we're going to take a look at the Bering Optics Super Yoter. This is a 3X base scope, but it goes out to 12X digitally. It has a 640 by 480 resolution, which is huge. And this is really a capable scope. It is feature rich. There are so many different things that you can do, different type reticles, I mean picture in picture, you name it. But one thing about it, it has a very simple control system. And we have 3 control buttons at the top, makes it super easy. So while we're not going to get into all the details because it would take 2 hours, we're going to really look at some of the important features of this scope. And guys, if you're looking for thermal, this is a great optic to check out. Now, we really appreciate GetZone.com for hooking us up with Bering Optics, and we really have had a great time with this scope. All right, the Bering Optics Super Yoter. This is a thermal scope. It has a 640 by 480 core resolution, which is really getting fine detail. And it's one of the things about your thermal imaging scopes is that typically the image has not been that clear. It's been a little bit muddy. It's more of a blob, to be honest with you. And this has not traditionally been good for identification. It's for location. It's very difficult to hide from thermal imaging because it picks up heat signatures. So this makes it excellent for hunting at night, or for that matter during the day. I mean, you can see objects from a distance, but you can also see them, that are partly concealed. Now, traditionally, your night vision, like the PVS-14 that I have here, I mean, this is currently being used by the U.S. military. It's an incredible optic. This is the white phosphorus. And this is an excellent optic, but it is not a great locator because while you can see, just like you can see with a naked eye, the imaging that you're picking up, the heat signature with thermal, gives it a huge advantage. And so this is really coming together with the advantages of thermal and the advantages of standard night vision. It has a 3X base magnification, but then it has a digital zoom out to 12 magnification. It's a 50 millimeter objective lens. Of course, we have a cover. There are a lot of details, and we can get into the weeds, but what we're going to do is we're going to go through some just basics first, because really I just want to introduce you to thermal imaging. And I think a lot of people, especially on the hunting side, I mean, they're really getting into that, especially if you're hog hunting or coyote hunting, doing things, varmint control. You're hunting at night, you want something that you can pick up, your target. But this is also good for, standard self-defense and for security. And so that's one of the big pluses. Now, one of the big things that it has on it is a LWIR tactical quick-detach mount. And this is a locking mount. I have a couple of these for different firearms. But this is a really exceptional system that you bring it down, it locks onto your Picatinny rail, and then you push it in and it locks it solid. This is a re-zeroing mount. I mean, it will give you excellent re-zeroing capability. Now here at the front you have an objective focus, and this just gets you in and focuses in on the target, especially if you're looking out at different distances. And then here at the back you have your diopter, and this adjusts to your eye. The eye cup is removable. In fact, we can just pull it right off. In fact, on the PVS-14 you'd notice that I had pulled my eye cup off because when wearing a helmet mount it just kind of gets in the way. And so, let me get this back on. But one of the things about having this, especially on this kind of optic, is you place the scope up next to your eye because you want to get that full view. And when you fire, especially with heavier recoiling firearms, this will give you a black eye. And so making sure that you have this, it actually cushions any kind of blow if you put your face up to the optic. Your battery compartment is right here, and you just open it by turning it either way. It pops open. You have two CR123s. To reattach the battery compartment, you just press, and then it locks it on. We have three control buttons. You have your power on, you have your modes, and then you have your camera or video. Now this will do video. It doesn't do audio. It's MP4 video. It's actually pretty good, and you'll be seeing some examples of that. This is a very simple system to be able to set up because this optic has a lot of features. It is feature rich. There is a ton of different things that you can do with it. The reticles, there's a number of different reticles. In fact, 8 different reticle options. 3 of those have bullet drop compensation, and you can change the color. There's a lot of different things you can do with this. Also, there's a number of different palettes, color palettes, with either just the contrasting white or the dark, or you can go with a couple of different colors. So it gives you some really good options, and again, we'll look at that as well. It has 32 gigabyte internal memory, and so I can hook this directly to my computer and download any files. Also, you can get an app to be able to do all the controls on your phone. But guys, I'm telling you, these settings are very simple to manipulate, and it doesn't take long to figure this out. And guys, the older I get, the less I want to try to figure something out, and this was really easy. And as far as downloading any kind of video, we have a small little boot right here, and it's the C-type cable that you use. You can just plug that in, and it goes right into your computer. It does have the USB port, and it is included with this. There are also battery packs that come, external battery packs, where you can hook it in, and then you can actually mount it to the Picatinny rail of your rifle. And so that is another option, which we don't have. Now, one thing too that I want to mention before we get into some of the demonstration, again, we're going to talk about some of the details when we get on into it. But this has a 4-year warranty. It is nitrogen purged, so it operates really well in high humidity conditions. In fact, up to 96% humidity. So, when you're out there hunting in the outdoors, humidity is one of the things you got to deal with, and this can handle it. But guys, when it comes to thermal, one of the big things is price. These are not inexpensive to produce, and they give you really some high-end technology. And so this scope runs around $4,500. In fact, $4,559. I was seeing it everywhere for that price. And so that is the price of thermal, but the capability is just extremely worth the money. It's just if you have the money, and I understand because these scopes, again, are not cheap, but that is a much lower price. We're seeing smaller optics with better resolution at a better price. A lot of these scopes can run up to $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. And so bringing it in, less than $5,000 is really a very appealing price for a thermal scope. Now, while this does take video, and we're going to be looking at the different video, it does not show the screen manipulation of the modes, the changing. And really, I couldn't get any information, and it's very difficult to attach a mount to be able to, check that out through a camera. So you can see through the reticle, you know, you don't see the paint on the target. There's paint all over that target, but you see the warm spots. So where I'm hitting it, I'm seeing it, even though the target hasn't been painted. Then of course with the disc, just flipping them around. This is 22. It's a little Tipman 22 rifle. They're great, but just want to demonstrate it, show some fun with it. But this thing is so easy just to change out. I was getting some shots around the house and just kind of getting an idea. This is the black on white, and you know, you can see the reticle really clearly. Gives you those heat signatures that are coming off the garage door and also underneath the house. And then we switch it to the white on black, and it looks like it's snowing outside. But this is a really great way to pick up the black as the heat signature. And so it just shows the magnification coming in, and you know, it's really excellent. I mean, I could probably have adjusted the focus on it to get a little better, but you can see all the different detail. It's really easy. And then we went to the next color palette. This is with color, and the heat comes in the yellow, and so you can see where the heat is all across the house. I mean, it's just a great way to be able to pick up things, especially if you're looking into the woods for a deer. And then we go with the multicolor. This really picks things up. A lot of people call this fuchsia, and it just gives it just a whole different look. And you know, it's just according to what you want. Personally, I like the black on white or the white on black contrast. Now I was at the TNVC Night Fighter 101 class and just had it out, kind of doing some initial testing with it. And these guys are just loading up, getting ready for the next event. But you can see the detail, I mean, showing up the forms. And of course, this is fairly close range, but it does give you an idea of, you know, the clarity and the resolution. And guys, I mean, it's really easy to pick it up. There's a number of different reticle choices. You have different colors, and then you have different style reticles. I mean, there is a big selection, 8 different reticles, and then each of these can be changed to different colors. And so there's 3 that have bullet drop compensators, and you know, some of them are just a dot. And so it just gives you a lot of possibilities to choose whatever really works best for you in whatever situation you're in. Here we're cycling through the different color palettes, and you can just see the different contrast that it gives. But it's really easy to cycle through these when you're in the mode section. And of course, I'm just going back and forth showing the different color palettes. And the weight on the Super Yoter, 1 pound 3 ounces. Now the optic is 8 inches in total length. It's 6 inches if you take off the eye cup. A lot of people like to use these just as binoculars. And so you can take this by hand. Again, the weight is not that bad. So it's really easy to carry around and to be able to, you know, get different things without mounting it to a rifle. So it's a very versatile optic as well. One thing about thermal is that it just has a lot of technology behind it, and you're able to see heat signatures. And that is huge. And so really that's the one reason why a lot of hunters have gone with thermal imaging. Another thing about this optic is that it is not recoil sensitive. You can shoot this with about any firearm. Of course, we were just shooting it with 22, but that was definitely just for demonstration. But this is definitely capable for high caliber rounds. And of course, with this LWIR mount, I mean, it just works really well, and it will re-zero. Of course, calibration is one thing. Sometimes right in the middle it'll calibrate and you'll kind of have a hesitation just for a second. That's just inherent with all the thermal optics. It is IPX66, which means pretty much that it's waterproof. You know, you don't want to submerge this necessarily, but you're going to be fine with this out in the rain. No, you're not going to get the clarity you do with a standard optic. The glass and the way that the imaging is, and of course, especially once you get to digital, it's not quite as clear as the 3x magnification. Once you start bumping it up, you will lose some resolution, and that's just normal with digital optics. It just really gives you eyes in the dark. And then, of course, even during the day, you're able to pick up those heat signatures. It's very difficult for something to hide, and that's one of the big pluses for thermal optics. So guys, if you love to hog hunt, if you like to take out coyotes, if you just like something for security, the high resolution, the different color palettes, the different reticles, I mean, the sky's the limit when it comes to this. And yet, you can mount this straight to your rifle, and it's ready to roll. And of course, you know, with the price tag of $45.95, I mean, it is expensive. but that's the price of thermals, and it gives you a whole nother world. And again, we really appreciate GetZone.com for putting us together with Bering Optics to bring you this review. Man, it's been a lot of fun. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. The Bering Optics Super Yoter. This is the Super Yoter. There was the Baby Yoda, but now this is the Super Yoter. Again, you know, this is one of the guys, when it comes to optics, there are a bazillion choices, from the red dot to a 50 MOX MOC473 248912. So one of the things I really love about thermal is that we can see what and why and what am I doing. They really have made night visible. But when it comes to leaves falling in your face,